What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and in this video I wanted to have a discussion about a character who I consider to be largely underrated in the realm of Marvel Comics. And there's a lot of characters like this. There's a lot of guys who just don't get a lot of representation. They're in for a couple issues, they might even be in for a small storyline, and then they're never seen or heard from again. In this video, we're going to talk about a character named Graviton. Now, in order to understand what it is that Graviton can do, we have to understand the principles of gravity here in the real world so you can make a comparison and you can understand exactly where he stands and what it is that he's capable of. In the realm of quantum mechanics and physics, there is a theoretical particle called a graviton. Now, we don't know if this particle exists or not. There really hasn't been a lot of investigation done. And without going into a great big huge discussion on quantum gravity and quantum electromagnetism, we're just going to say that this particle is kind of unknown to us. Now, the gravitational pull of an object is relative to the density of that object. Now, just because an object is large does not mean that it is dense. Take the planet Earth, for example. The planet Earth is colossal compared to the size of your average human being. According to the CDC, the average man here in the United States is about 5 feet 7 inches and about 195 pounds. Now, you may be strong enough to physically punch through a piece of wood or to even punch through a piece of concrete. But on the molecular structure, on the atomic level, you're largely empty space. Now, the Earth is exactly the same way. On the atomic level, the Earth is largely empty space. But if we were to remove that empty space and condense the Earth down to a point where the nucleus of every single atom and every single particle that composes the makeup of the Earth were crammed together, the density would be infinite. And the gravitational pull of the object would be, of the Earth would be infinite. In effect, the planet Earth would turn into a black hole. It would simply just rip a hole in space and time and just start sucking everything into it. Now, in the world of Marvel Comics, the graviton is held to be as an existing particle. In Marvel Comics, it's held to be absolute that this particle does exist. Now, because this particle is what creates gravity, or creates the gravitational pull of an object, Graviton is able to manipulate this. And so, in effect, he simply just manipulates gravity. And he's able to achieve a wide array of effects by manipulating gravity. He can decrease the gravitational pull of an object, even on himself, and effectively grant himself the power of flight. He can increase the gravitational pull of an object and make things heavier. You could take somebody and say, and increase the gravitational pull around them and only around them, so that instead of the Earth pulling them at 9.8 meters per second squared, the Earth might be pulling them at 100 meters per second squared, in which case they would just be completely annihilated. In addition to these particular attributes, he also has the ability to isolate a particular object and change its gravitational pull. There was an instance, I think, when he was battling the Avengers over New York. It was somewhere around, I think, the time that he returned after he was exiled into space, where he was fighting the Avengers, and he actually enhanced the gravitational pull around a rock, and it pulled all the Avengers towards the rock. Now, bear in mind, he's not by any means the most powerful Marvel character ever. But an ability to manipulate gravity, to me, puts someone near or extremely close to Omega level status. And the reason why I say that is because mutants who demonstrate the ability to alter the fundamental principles of the planet Earth are mutants who are, for the most part, considered to be Omega level. Storm, for example, has vast weather manipulating abilities. Iceman has the ability to remove heat from a particular area, with the result being absolute cold. I mean, cold is simply just the absence of heat. You can't really create cold. You can just take heat away from an object. Now, the reason why Storm is considered to be Omega level is just because of the fact that her ability to manipulate the weather could change the entire ecosystem of the world. With Iceman, it's the same way. With enough time and enough energy and enough power, Iceman could drain all of the heat out of the planet Earth into himself, perhaps take on some colossal form. We don't know what would happen, but it would vastly change the ecosystem, if not destroy all life on the planet. With a character like Graviton, who is able to manipulate the gravitational pull of the planet Earth, which kind of originates due to the density of the core of the planet, it's not entirely impossible for him to stop the planet from spinning. It's possible for him to simply move entire land masses, to simply relocate the entire North American continent somewhere else, to relocate Australia or Africa. These are powers that are entirely within, or these are abilities that are entirely within his power range. Now, despite that the fact that we have not seen him do that doesn't mean that he's not capable. With a character like Iceman, for example, we didn't know that he was an Omega level character until Emma Frost took over his body and pushed his powers to their extreme limits, in which case, once she was done, she backed out of his mind and said, "This guy is incredibly powerful. He just doesn't know how powerful he is yet." And in fact, there was a point, I think, when Iceman asked Emma Frost to teach him how to achieve that level of power, and she said something along the lines of, "You'll learn it on your own," in which case he went to Storm and asked Storm to teach him, how to control his abilities more so than Xavier had, simply because their abilities are very, very similar. So the one thing to bear in mind here is that when it comes to a person or even just an experiment gone wrong, like Franklin Hall, when it comes to someone who's able to manipulate fundamental forces of the Earth, it puts them on an extremely powerful scale, just because of the fact that they have the ability to theoretically eliminate all life on the planet at any one particular point in time. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to an end. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.